All right, welcome back to another edition of the Three Mob Podcast. I am John Kurtz, joined by Cole Manbeck and Derek Young. You know Derek, of course, from K-State Online fame. Cole, longtime beat reporter for K-State, and myself, just a little bit ago, was still on this beat. But appreciate all of you that listen to the podcast. Appreciate the support of Holiday Distillery, with bourbon coming here at the end of the month to go along with that great 360 vodka that you guys have already come to know and love. Today, we get another member of the K-State men's basketball coaching staff. Really fired up about this. Obviously, you guys love Jerome Tang, who came on, K-State's new head coach. One of his first hires was Austin Carpenter, who joins us right now. He is the K-State director of player development with the basketball program. So, Austin, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for hopping on with us here. Let's start with this. You have, I think, a very fascinating background. You worked with Lincoln Riley, for instance, at Oklahoma in a couple of different facets at OU, working with the golf program, working with football. For those that are fairly uninitiated with your background, just take us through what the road to where you're at right now at K-State has been like.
Yeah, John. Well, first of all, thank you again for having me. Excited and I'm thrilled to be a part of this staff, and thankful to Coach Tang for bringing me here and the opportunity to be with you guys today and spend a little bit of time. It's fun for me, and this is a part of my job that I'm blessed to be able to share about the special things that we believe we're doing, but most importantly, why we're doing it. So, a little bit about my background. I did my undergrad at the University of Oklahoma. When I was there, I wanted to work in sports and specifically try to get on with the basketball program. But when I got there, I was a freshman right after the Buddy Hield Final Four run. And so there was all this overturn and people trying to get involved. And I didn't really have that great of connections. And so then I tried to wait a year, and Coach Kruger, famous Kansas State guy and alum, his name's in the rafters for a reason, is such a, I mean, you guys know him better than I do probably, but just well-spoken man and open guy. He allowed us to come to practice if you wanted to, so you could be there and watch, and took advantage of that and just built relationships. And then I tried to get on my second year, and Trae Young was coming in. And so there was also a lot of people that were excited. And once again, I didn't have the connections that led me to that opportunity. And I was fortunate through a connection through a ministry called Young Life that knew somebody involved with the football program. And so I got to start over there as a student recruiting. Actually, my official title first was game day assistant. So I was helping with really just on game days and other opportunities and trying to do anything I could to get my foot in the door. During my time there, my boss was Annie Hansen, who I think you guys know the name. Her husband was, I think, who's offensive line coach here after his time as a graduate assistant here as well, and obviously played here. And Zach and Annie, just love them and love who they are and the people they were and the opportunity to learn from them, and specifically under Annie and Coach Riley. I started as a game day assistant and then got brought on to a part-time role as student recruiting assistant, and which was basically assisting in all things recruiting strategy, official visits, unofficial visits. My time there was very fortunate in that Coach Riley was extremely innovative in everything he did. Trying to push the envelope in college recruiting of, what does it look like to show recruits a university in a different way. And as platforms are changing and recruiting rules are changing, taking advantage of those opportunities to give recruits the best picture of what we're building. And Annie Hansen is the best in the business of what she does for a reason. And it was so fun for me to be a part of her staff on the recruiting staff, and getting to learn how to operate at such a championship standard and championship level. It's something we valued every day. We said we're going to recruit like a champion on a Tuesday in the middle of the summer, the same way that we want to play on a Saturday in the fall. So really learning kind of what that standard was. And at that time, Zach was working here in Manhattan. She was in Norman. And so when we weren't playing games, she was driving up there and stuff. And so I got to learn kind of about the Kansas State fan base at first from that. Honestly, just knowing Zach and following him on Twitter, I would always see the interactions with the Wildcat Nation. It kind of blew my mind. I was like, man, we work for OU, and look at all these interactions that are happening over there. It's crazy. So, it was just a blessing. And then from there, was looking for GA opportunities in basketball. I wanted to coach. It's still my dream, is to be a Division I coach and at this level and the relationships. And I wanted to kind of see how it was done in a different facet through the relationship with a guy who had a connection with Coach Tang, brought me to Baylor. Spent 2 years of my life there serving in as a capacity as a graduate assistant, learning and growing in my player development skills, opponent scouting, and then obviously trying to help in recruiting strategy. I think that was probably the reason why Coach Drew brought me more than anything, was because he understood that I could help with how we were doing recruiting. Felt like we moved the needle a lot there and changing some of the ways we were doing recruiting, being more innovative. And then, just fortunate to have learned from guys like Coach Drew, Coach Tang, John Jacobs, Alvin Brooks III, a Kansas State guy himself, and even the ops, all the guys that are in operations there, that are in similar roles like me here, guys that are well beyond their years and title and how good they are at what they do. So I was very fortunate to learn at that level and to grow there and to be a part of two championship level teams. To win a national championship is unbelievable. I told Coach Drew after we won the national championship, I said, Coach, the last couple of years at OU, I've been in the Final Four and things haven't gone very well for us on the football side. So I like this side of things a lot more. It was fun watching the confetti fall instead of walking out the building, watching it fall on other people. So, yeah, very fortunate to have been under two great coaches that believe in relationships and believe in being innovative. Coach Drew and Coach Tang worked hand in hand in everything they did. When people say Coach Tang was an associate head coach, he was everything of that and more. And that's why he's so ready for this opportunity and is already thriving, is because he's been prepared for this, and he's been ready. And it's been awesome and a blessing for me to watch that transition, to be a part of serving alongside him for 2 years there, or I should say under him there, and then now getting to work under his leadership here. And, just believe in who he is as a person. I've seen him outside the court. Everyone sees everything on ESPN. That's easy. Anybody can turn it on when the lights are on. But I've seen who he is whenever things get hard, behind closed doors, and the way he treats his family and other staff's family, and treats, potential student athletes' families, just treating people, nicer than the world tells us to treat people. And he believes in relationships and believes in intentionality. So to be a part of that here and to join the journey that we believe, we want to compete for a national championship here. That's the standard. I don't know if you guys can see it behind me. Got this thing on the wall. It says elevate the standard. Elevate's kind of been what we've ran with since Coach Tang said it in his press conference. But, we believe that. We believe the standard here is to compete for national championships. We believe we can do that. And Coach Tang, under his leadership, we believe we will. And so excited to be here. Thankful for the people I've learned from. And can't give enough, gratitude towards Coach Drew and Coach Riley, and specifically Annie Hansen and their family, and just excited for what's to come.
Coach Tang actually mentioned, Austin, that USC tried to hire you. I don't know if you would elaborate on that a little bit when Lincoln Riley went out there, if you want to talk to that. But we know Annie Hansen now is the executive director of recruiting there. So I'm curious kind of how that went and if you considered that.
Yeah, it was an interesting time of the year for us as kind of March was approaching. I don't know how much I want to speak into the actual details of the situation, but yeah, I just, I love Coach Riley and his family. I love Annie and Zach, and I believe in them and who they are as people. And I'm an OU grad. I'm a proud OU grad. So as I say this and that, some people may say those two things don't currently coincide, but in the time I spent with Coach Riley and his family, man, they're intentional and they believe in relationships too. And they treated me, a student volunteer, like I was a 5-star recruit. They treated me like anybody else. And I just think that speaks to his character, that when no one's around, he was treating people the same. And Annie Hansen and Megan Mez, who's the director of recruiting out there. Annie's, I think, the executive director is her title. But just people I love working with. And our businesses are about relationships. Everyone can say it's about winning and losing. I hope we do a lot more winning than we do losing here. But at the end of the day, right, relationships are what make it worth it. And those are people that I love. And if the Lord ever opens the door for me to be with them and it makes sense and it's the right opportunity, I want to do that because I loved working with them then, and I hope to again work with them someday. So, yeah, just the opportunity to be out there was exciting. I'm from Oklahoma, so Los Angeles is pretty different than Oklahoma or Manhattan, Kansas, and it's exciting for the right reasons. But I have every faith in my core that they're going to win big out there, and I hope they do. And I hope that they have all the success in the world because they deserve it as people, and I'm excited for them and their journey. And even had the chance to watch a little bit of their spring game on Saturday on ESPN and get to see the work they're doing. And I could even see like some of the recruiting operations down in the end zone out there in the Coliseum. They got all these like tents set up and food trucks, and I just know that they're making that place special. And there's kids that are being recruited that are getting a special treatment because they're interacting with the Hansen family and the Riley family. So was blessed to know them in the capacity of working alongside them and excited about where they're going. But this is the right opportunity for me. There's a reason why I'm here. I believe in what Coach Tang's building. Like I said earlier, my dream is to be a Division I head coach. I believe in player development on the court and off the court. And I believe in what we're building here, and excited to be a part of it on a daily basis and everything that we're doing.
Well, when we had Coach Tang on a couple of weeks ago, we asked about you and that you hire of you. And DY asked about it, and Coach Tang really lit up and talked about you for a while. And he talked about how you're a big picture guy and how you kind of see the big picture overall and change things. You're innovative, right? And you talked about some of the innovations in recruiting. I'm just curious how you've seen the dynamics of the recruiting landscape change just in the last 2 or 3 years. Obviously, name, image, and likeness is a huge thing right now in college athletics. And if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like when I started in recruiting 4.5 years ago to now, it is a completely different world. And it's a completely different world depending on where you're at, what level you're at, whether it's football, basketball, or even like if you're at the high major level versus mid-major level. And, looking at different schools, we're blessed to have a collaboration of different people on our staff here that have been at different places. Coach Tang won a national championship last year at Baylor. Coach Manbeck was at Texas, university with a lot of financial, strength and a lot of, history there. And we have Dream, who's, been at North Texas and kind of that mid-major level, but had a lot of success. And so you've seen recruiting done in different ways. In my time at Oklahoma, we had this unbelievable opportunity to sell a university with, a lot of financial backing into how we were selling it, but there was no aspect of recruiting that became like personally financial for a recruit ever. And now we're looking at student athletes that are having to make that decision. Every day I get on the transfer portal and I look at the numbers and it blows my mind of how many kids are making decisions. I'm fearful of the direction it's going, just because I believe in the development of college-age men. That's why I'm here. I believe that the collegiate, the model of the collegiate athletics where you come in and you redshirt and you, maybe you aren't good enough immediately physically to play, but you're here for a year and you work through things and you have this opportunity to kind of battle within your own headspace of like, why am I doing this? You find a deeper urge. And I was about to say the generation of college athletes, but I guess that's pretty close to my generation too. We're obsessed with immediate gratification, right? Like everything is on this like phone, right? If you have something that's important, you can get it within seconds. And the idea of, not being happy here, I can go somewhere else. And then they've granted this immediate transfer rule where somebody can play immediately. Like we're losing some of the, I don't know if it's pureness or maybe even character of college athletics where people are having to fight to be a part of a university. You know what I mean? They have to stick around and stay and get through it. And we all love the story whenever a 3-year player makes the field and his last season is unbelievable. And for 3 years, he was a big name recruit that never delivered. And then he finally pushes through. So I'm excited about the opportunity for universities to kind of shape what they want it to look like. I am fearful, I would say, of the current model, but I'm excited about what it means for the student athlete. I think the reality that student athletes couldn't, make money off their name, image, and likeness doesn't align with American core beliefs. And I believe in that. And so the future of that, I think, looks unknown to everybody. I know that we are really excited here about the Kansas State fan base and our culture. And even in my short 3 weeks here, like it's a blue collar school, a blue collar mentality. Like people want to come here and they want to work. I was at OU when we lost to Kansas State in football. And I remember as people were storming the field thinking about different things of like, man, like it was simple and it was a grind for 60 minutes today and we lost. We thought we had a chance or whatever. And at the end of the day, like blue collar hard work delivers. It does. And we believe in that. And Coach Tang's leadership, I think there was a video they put out, when he accepted the job and he spoke to the team about nothing's given, everything's earned. I think he referenced the out the mud phrase with our guys. And we believe in that, right? Like the blue collar mentality. And so we want to recruit people here that believe in the opportunity to work hard in practice, in the film room, in the classroom, personally. Like we want every aspect of our student athletes to be well-rounded outside of the game of basketball. And hopefully the game of basketball is that opportunity for them. We want it to be. So I'm excited about where it's going for the student athlete. I am fearful of what it could look like. I think we're probably 2 to 3 years within some legislation coming in, but you keep seeing all these big names, people that have a lot bigger names than I could ever, hope of having, saying things that are actually moving the needle in the discourse. About 2 times a week, you'll see a national championship winning head coach talk about something, whether it's, Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or, Dabo Swinney. Like even Coach Drew talked about it of like, we got to figure out how we're going to do this to level the playing field because we don't want the mid-majors to hurt, where if a kid has a year above average at a mid-major level, he would rather transfer and go sit on the bench at a high major university because he's going to get some money. Right. And so what can we do to level the playing field? And then also how can we do it that's in the best interest of student athletes long term? And we believe in being innovative. And like you asked me earlier, like big vision, strategy, ideas. We want to elevate the standard in everything we do. And so that means recruiting. That means recruiting. That means player development. It means player development. It means students in the classroom. It's students in the classroom. Like we want our student athletes to be on the front row, taking notes, and we want our guys to be in the community. And so when we recruit players, we're looking at people that want to be a part of that and understand that. And we have a big vision about what it can look like, but every day it's about going 1-0 and being very intentional in everything we do and the details so that we can achieve the mission that we've set before us, and that's elevating the standard of what's expected here.
It's kind of a loaded question, Austin, and I'm going to leave it purposefully vague so you can kind of be as detailed or take in any direction you want. But I remember Coach Tang also saying you kind of ran the recruiting at Baylor. I guess what does that consist of in terms of role? And is there, I guess, any specific innovation that you have in mind at Kansas State?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I would say anybody ran it. It's a team effort and everything you do. Now they have a director of recruiting there, Jason Smith, who does an unbelievable job. He's a Baylor guy through and through. He actually was a student manager for Coach Drew and then was a graduate assistant for Coach Drew. He then went and ran his own creative design company for I think 9 to 10 years. And he just came back after he won the national championship to be on the staff full time. But he does an unbelievable job in organizing everything and running some of that logistical side of things, as well as he's just a Baylor guy through and through. So it was always great to have him there, especially in my second year as a graduate assistant, as we had some success, for him to really formulate some of that momentum for us. But yeah, my time there, it was everything from recruiting strategy overall to how are you running an official visit? How are you running unofficial visits? We're going to look at the kind of kids we want to recruit, and then we're going to build a model on how we do that, so that whenever we have a kid on campus, we can get the best feel possible for how he's going to fit in our system. Because no matter how talented a kid is, if he's not a good fit, then we're going to waste his talent, right? And if a kid maybe is not as talented as the message boards are saying or the rankings are saying, but he's a great fit in our culture, then hopefully he can come here and elevate his game, And so it's this collaborative effort of what can we do to best build a structure so that everybody can succeed. Coach Drew had this saying that I always loved. He said, when we have success, everybody eats. And that's true about every aspect, right? When you get to a Elite Eight run, everybody eats, staff eats, players eat, everybody gets more attention, right? When you win a Big 12 championship, forever you're in the lore of that school. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what your role is, if you're a graduate assistant, if you're a student manager. So elevating our standard of what's expected on a visit, we're going to be very detail-oriented, and I can tell you it's been extremely effective in our short time here that we don't want to miss a beat. We're going to be very analytical in everything we do, from evaluating players to understanding how to use our time when they are here. And then culture fit is going to be something that we're very detail-oriented in, and Coach Tang does an unbelievable job in leading our staff well in evaluating our culture. And house, man, I told myself I wasn't going to say culture. I really wanted to avoid that word. Right. And so I think you guys can kind of understand, we want to find someone that fits the EMOM mentality. Are they going to be blue collar? Are they going to come in and work whenever nothing's asked of them? We had a culture of that at Baylor. That's what led to our success. Guys that worked when no one else was around. They worked in the shadows. They worked at midnight. And that's why we felt like we succeeded, was because people were willing to do things outside of what they're asked. So we're going to be innovative. I hope you guys have seen that we already feel like we have been. Our social media, actions are trying to give our guys the best platform to be successful. I view the Cody over in creative media does an unbelievable job with everything and production value, and it's extremely high. And hopefully, like you guys have noticed, whenever we had a recruit that's decided to commit and be a part of our university, that we've given them the platform to give out content at an extremely, extremely high level. And the view for us is not to be in the top rank, but we want to be at the national championship standard. We want people to look at Kansas State and say, wait, I want to do a video like that. I don't want to go on a visit there because they aren't going to give me the content that they're going to give me there. And so doing things that are within our, first of all, rules from the NCAA standpoint that give our student athletes and prospective student athletes the opportunity to show what this university is about, which is blue collar, hard work, success.
Well, if you're recruiting today, obviously NIL is a part of this, as we already discussed, right? But one thing we've heard forever at K-State is Manhattan can be fairly isolated. It's a tough place to recruit. I even was reading Alvin Brooks recently talking about, hey, at Baylor, it's easier to get kids in on like unofficial visits because you're just proximity to town. I mean, you're closer to so many kids. How for someone that's been at Oklahoma, someone that's been at Baylor and seen how it's done there, how difficult do you think it is to recruit to Manhattan, Kansas, and K-State when you take into account NIL, everything that's at your fingertips today?
We are very blessed to be at Kansas State and selling what we are selling at this university. Two different stories. I think that'll give you some perspective. So the first story is this year when we were playing here and I was on the staff at Baylor, I should say I was a graduate assistant. I'm walking up the tunnel after shoot around the night before, and I'm talking with AB, Coach Brooks, and I'm like, man, this place, like everything is sharp. It's all color coordinated. Like everything is, put together. And I obviously, like when you fly in and stuff, you aren't totally geographically oriented. But as we're walking up, he's like, yeah, man, I can't even tell you about these facilities. Like they understand what it takes to be elite. And so that was my first understanding of that. And then kind of fast forward 4 months or 3 months, I drive up here on a Tuesday from Waco to start working. And as I pull into the ICE family basketball facility, I am pulling up to the front of it, and it's just like glowing. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you feel like you're like pulling up to like, the long lost treasure site. Like it's McDonald's when you're on a road trip and you just need something, right? And you're pulling up and it's like, wow. I mean, it just kind of blows you away. And so it's this aspect of we're selling something that is desirable, and we have people that want to be with people that want to work hard. And so as we're doing that, like, yes, if you look at, where Waco was compared to Dallas and, Houston, right? Are we 3 hours away from either city like that? No. But the Kansas blueprint, as far as like how far this state reaches in basketball, is very strong. And we believe in the, the in-house ability for recruits from this state to be successful. And we believe that they can be here. And also, we have national ties. Our coaches have recruited internationally. They've recruited nationally from all parts of the country, and that's going to continue. There's a reason why Marquise and Ish, guys from New York, and even Curtis Kelly, graduate assistant here, like this university has a footprint throughout, and our blueprint for that is going to continue. That there's nowhere like we're going to recruit where the players are. We're going to go and we're going to try to bring them here. And my opportunity whenever they are on campus to sell them what this university is and its core beliefs of everything from President Linton to Gene Taylor, like. This university is what it is. We're not going to hide things. We're not going to fake things. We're going to be honest. We're going to be transparent, and we're going to be intentional about the kind of people we bring here so that we can have success when the lights do come on.
Well, Austin,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, John. I just wanted to say real quick. So I wanted to ask you about just social media engagement from the fan base that you've seen at Kansas State to date. Obviously, social media is a big thing with kids these days. You can't name names, but you've had some big recruits, obviously, and transfers on campus, and we've seen them get blown up on social media from Kansas State fans, engagements. Just how important is that in today's recruiting landscape?
Everything's important when it comes to recruiting, but no doubt that fan engagement and the current demographic of social media being the main platform for recruiting, it's important. I always say like, passion goes both ways, right? If things aren't going well, you're going to hear passionate people. If things are going well, you're going to hear the passionate people. And so we want to give people a product they can be passionate about. And so when that comes to recruiting, nationally giving recruits the opportunity to share things at the highest level. There's a lot more times than not where kids go on campus and they have an experience and then they don't have a way to tell the story. And so our goal is to give guys the opportunity to tell a story. And then, when it comes to Wildcat Nation, every night when I leave the office and I'm sitting there in bed and I'm like scrolling through social media, I somehow always end up on a different video that I haven't seen before of the Octagon of Doom going absolutely crazy. And it blows my mind because I've seen it my whole life on TV. I've experienced it in person a couple times, but the idea of how passionate our fan base is, not on a big Monday game when everybody's watching at 6 p.m., but on a Tuesday, while football season's still going on in November against a low major school, that it's going to be full and excited. Like that's what kids want to play in front of. They want to play in front of people that care, people that want to get behind them. And so, we're excited about what our university is doing to give fans the platform to connect with people and specifically our student athletes, and excited and thankful more than anything that our our fan base cares, because you can't replace that. You can't trade for that. You know what I mean? It's one of a kind, and it gives credit to this university and what it's been for so long. That people come here, they spend their undergraduate year, they get a degree here, and they choose to travel back here and attend games, and then also when they aren't here to support through social media. So I have a little bit of extra time, not tons, but if we want to go long, it's great. No big deal.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, so I was going to finish it off and just first of all, thank you for being gracious with your time here, Austin. Do you have a good this is putting you on the spot a little bit, but a good Coach Tang and or Coach Riley story to leave us with before we let you go?
Man, I got a lot of Coach Tang stories for you that would get you guys fired up. You know, I think we pride ourselves on defense. It's something that we want to be about. And Coach Tang, kind of in this football model, right? It was like our defensive coordinator that had his hand in everything, but he had his hand in the offensive side of the ball, everything from baseline out of bounds to, end of game situations. But when it came to defensive structure, he was a guy that was passionate about it. And him and Coach Brooks, they're like hand in hand, were some of the guys that every day, were about what they were about when it came to the defensive side of the ball. And so we have this thing we like to do whenever we're going to emphasize we're going to play defense. We don't want to reach, we don't want to get fouls, and so we want to yell chest every time we can, and we're going to practice taking charges. It was something we felt like we were really successful at because we emphasized it. Coach Kelvin Sampson and Coach Unbelievable should be a Hall of Famer someday, going to be a Hall of Famer. He always says whatever a head coach emphasizes, that's what his players and team are going to be about. And so Coach Tang, no matter what day of the week it was, right? If it's Tuesday and you had a heartbreaking loss the night before, you had a huge win, and the next day you're doing it. It doesn't matter, right? If we're on the court, we're going to practice taking charges. And no matter what, like, you would see Coach Tang walking back and forth yelling, chest! And it was just like, that's who he is. He's passionate, he's authentic, and he believes in doing things the right way and the hard way over taking the shortcut, because there's no shortcuts to success. And he's earned everything he's gotten, and he's going to make sure our guys earn everything they get too. And that's why I'm excited to be here, man, because I get to work for a guy that loves his players, but is going to be very demanding of them while without ever being demeaning.
Well, Austin, this has been awesome getting a chance to get to know you a little bit. Certainly hope you're enjoying Manhattan as you hit the ground running. If we can ever help you out with anything, just hit us up, man. Let us know. But thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Ima.